Hello guys, it's Zyklone from Zyklone Drone Solutions, and here we're doing a fun little project. As you guys know, most airplanes today are built out of foam. Foam is fantastic because it's real light. Plus, it's pretty durable once you put some packaging tape on the outside. And the most important thing, it's really easy to fix when you crash with hot glue. And basically, these are your tools that you'll be using, and then I'll show you basically what you want in an airplane, which you see this little cut right here. This is going to be the wing stub up on the back, and then it's going to be really easy to put two little holes in it, and two notches, and two sticks that just stick down in there for the rudder. But we'll shape this right here. The wing has been shaped. I've got the dihedral on it. You guys see that? You cut the foam and then weld it back together with the hot glue, and you get that angle. And the way you'll do that is on the floor. You'll measure up on the tip there. But you want a nice airfoil. This is the most important part of your plane. You want a nice airfoil. And we've got that. And again, styrofoam is super light, so it basically glides by itself. And you can see that wing right there. It just glides itself. But that's what you want, is a nice little wing. Initially, I'm not going to have any ailerons on it. I'm just going to use rudder and elevator, because I'm going to be using a 4-channel. But eventually, I'm going to go ahead and pop the ailerons on there. But as you can see, I'm using, you can do whatever you want in your project, but the main thing with an airplane, it has to be light. And the lighter it is, I love gliders because you can preserve your engine power. Don't mind this mess because I'm working, but you want your airplane really light. And if it's really light, then you can shut off the engine and let it glide. And if your wing ain't long, see, I've got the duct tape on the bottom that gives it strength. You could use packaging tape, but if your wings aren't long, you just make them a bit wider. So it's basically airspace, the surface area. So if it's long and thin, you know, short and wide, it's equal airspace, air surface. But you'll want your plane nice and centered and counting for all the weights that you'll have in it. You'll want your batteries and everything up here up front. On mine, I'm basically using helicopters. You can even see the 450 helicopter for the tail tube. But you'll want everything straight, especially, and balanced, of course. So when you're doing the airfoil, you have to make all the air surfaces equal. Otherwise, if you have too much of a curve on this side and too little on that side, guess what's going to happen? Yup, it'll get more lift on this side and flip like that. So you want your plane nice and balanced. And one of the ways you can test balance is to drop the wing and see if it falls flat. With a dihedral, you know, it should help, but it should fall flat. It shouldn't go to one side, you know, because whatever side's heavy, it's going to slide in that direction. It's not going to go straight down. It's going to lead and slide to that side. So what we're wanting here is, if I put it over this plus sign right there, right over it, let's move this little thing here. If I put it right over that plus sign, it should fall nice right on the plus sign. So, and flat. You guys seen that before the camera moved? That it's falling straight down, flat. So that's balanced, but you can balance it out, of course, by such methods like this, you know. But of course, you know, you balance it out. You want that balanced. You want the airflow area, but when you're doing your plane, you're thinking the engine line, the shaft is going to be here. You want that dead straight, right across the wing, and dead straight. You see that line? I used to work scaffolding, so I'm real good at eyeballing straight lines, but you want it dead straight on back. It seems like it has just a slight left cant and there's two ways to adjust for that. You'll definitely get your rudder surface areas lined up with this line. So it's like this. So even if it's off to one side, as long as it's lined up on that line, it's still going to do its function. You can actually build an airplane, and I was thinking about it because I've never seen an airplane, you know, where the rudders are out here in an X, and it would work as long as this is lined up with the straight flow of things. It would still do, say the rudder goes, it would still go right, and it would still go left. So don't be scared to experiment, but eventually when all this is shaped, you know, I've got to shape this, smooth this, I'm going to put the old nice fancy curves, and it's real easy to work. You could sand it, or use the grinding wheel or whatever, but me personally, believe it or not, my favorite thing to do foam with is, you never guess, is just a piece of concrete like this. This works, it's just like that grinding wheel over there, right? This right here, when you grab this, just get a nice smooth block, and you can find bricks that are smoother or whatever. This is coarse, but you can find bricks. The main thing is make it flat, and these make awesome sanding blocks. You see how that fits in my hand? It's perfect. And with this, I mean, that's what I did the wing with. You guys could see that wing, and it's no sweat. You just scout at chop, 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 and it does a fantastic job. As you can see, that is a real nice wing. It's got the gull wing effect, which is what I like. It's like, you know, the birds that you draw. It's a curve. You see that curve? And I believe this thing is going to fly amazing. I've got little hollows there, because that's what I do with my wings. You put these little hollows on the bottom there, and to me that helps out a lot. Then the ends, instead of flaps, what I like doing is notching this, and then making these hollows here. You cut that out, and making this the flap, just making that the aileron. And then it's like the wing. You know, that's the best wings, is not even flaps, where the wing takes a form and itself bends. And so it's not an aileron, but it is. Because if you hinge this and you cut that notch out, you guys can see the little square I'm talking about. If you cut that little square out, hook servos up to it, and make that be your aileron, that's a huge air surface area. So when you hit that and it gets a little thing, because it's so wide and so huge, your wing is going to go, wah, you know. It's not like a little tiny flap at the end where you push it, it's going to go real slow. No, you just barely have to move it 1 degree or something. It'll go whaff, you know. And it's more 3D like that. So don't be scared to experiment. That's what I love doing, is finding out what works. But in the end, my plane's going to be configured something like this. And you can see it's a real nice shape. Of course, that's going to be small right now. That's looking quite large and stuff. But those are the dimensions I'm looking for. And it's going to be a nice, nimble little aircraft. Of course, I'll be using that little motor right there, because my brushless, I have to rewind it, and I'm not in the mood to do any rewinding, because that is a pain in the butt sometimes, right? But you guys can see the configuration. It's a nice little size. And again, Styrofoam is awesome material. Cardboard is too, but it's a little heavier, and that's exactly why I save all these things, because I build planes out of this stuff. And I build planes out of that. These are all things that I take, and I love taking this. I think this is another wing. Yeah, this is a cardboard wing, but it's made for, it's got an aluminum spar in it from a tail rotor. Oh, not tail rotor. Tail boom from a helicopter, but you guys can see this is made for brushless motor, a really powerful airplane. This one here is just going to glide off a real small motor. And what I'm going to do is face it in the back and face the prop backwards right here in the back. And it's going to be a wonderful airplane, I think. But we'll see. So, oh yeah, one of the best ways to cut foam, of course. I've got this thing messed up because right now I broke it and everything. But this is like my trigger. It pulls the wire tight. You guys see that? It just broke. But that's just a wire. And when you energize this with 12 volts, this gets hot, you know, and it's tight. And you just simply take it on the foam wherever you want, like this, and it'll just slide through it like butter because it's hot. That's the best foam tool. Other than that, there's your welding machine, hot glue. But again, be very sparing because you're trying to keep everything lightweight. So don't be adding weight. Be real conscious of weight. Try to keep your plane as light as possible. Of course, make it strong, which is why I prefer duct tape. I don't know how many of you know that in Vietnam, duct tape is what they patched F-4 Phantoms with jet aircraft, twice the speed of sound and stuff. Duct tape is what they patched them up with when they had bullet holes on their aluminum skins. They'd come back from battle with holes all in the airplane. They'd use duct tape. Duct tape could stand up to 600 miles per hour winds, which is not quite the speed of sound. Speed of sound is 756 miles per hour. But 600 miles per hour, your remote control airplane will never reach those speeds. So duct tape is like the ideal tape you'll want for an aircraft. It's super tough, it's fibrous, it's almost like carbon fiber. So when you surface your thing, I'm not trying to be fancy, with duct tape, it's going to be nice and strong. But it's also light. Duct tape is heavier, I think, or maybe, yeah, it is heavier than packaging tape. But don't be skimping on that part because duct tape is worth its weight in durability and the ability to stand up to stuff, which is why I prefer it over packaging tape. And the fact that they use these on F-4 Phantoms in Vietnam, I mean, that convinces me that this is aircraft grade quality tape. I mean, no other tape was used in Vietnam. It got us through the Vietnam War, so it should get me through a couple flights. Well, anyways, I'll see you guys later, man. This is Zyklone from Zyklone Drone Solutions checking out. And if you like this little plane, you can see how to build it yourself here. That's parts right there. You see, it comes from there. So be creative and look at your boxes and say, hey, that's the tail stick up. I wish it were longer and higher, so say about that high so I can make it all in one piece. But that's the one piece I seen, so I said, okay, I'll go with it there. Hack that off, make it equal, then we'll shape all this stuff. And right there is the beginning to your rudder, your whole tail section, right there. So be creative, but if you're looking at my design, it's just simple. This right here actually is hot glued together. You know what this was? The V911 from WL Tours, the helicopter. That's what this is, the box it came in. I just made it thinner. And then eventually the battery will wedge in there in a nice cramp, and I'll configure electronics here and there and everywhere, and we'll get this thing up and airborne. But look at this design. If you want a little inspiration, use this design to create your own craft. But this is the design I've been building these little gliders and stuff out of since I was a kid. So I've got some little designs that just work, and this is one of them. I use the tail boom. It's aluminum, it's helicopter, it's light, so I mean that pulls it all together. In the end, you'll have the servo linkages. What I love about this is you can actually bring the servo linkages through the tube and out the back and have it pull, you know, and all. But anyways, I'm going to check out now. It's getting late. I'm going to have to get me some sleep. Adios amigos, and I hope I inspired you to turn useless garbage into something useful. Adios amigos. Have a beautiful time in this life.